I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome in to the Buccateers pod on our weekend of Football Kickoff Show, which is brought to you weekly as we explore the world of football. We had a couple special editions the last couple of weeks, one on a Friday, one on a Wednesday, and we're back in our normal, natural habitat on a Saturday. Before we get into some serious talk and not so happy talk, Mr. J-Lo, how the hell are you doing, brother? Long time no talk. Hope all is well with you. Hope all is fully recovered from the hurricane. Hope you and your family are doing well on this Saturday edition of the Buccateers, brother.
Good morning. I'm happy to be back, brother. You know, it was a rough time during the hurricane. You know, power was off for a little bit, but it came back on in the clutch before that Buccaneers blowout over the Saints. Can't complain. How you holding up, brother? You doing all right?
Yeah, and the Bucs said they were going to do that for the city of Tampa, J-Lo. They said, hey, we're going to go in there and win this football game. It means more than just football at this point with the hurricane going on. I was actually there live in person to see it go down. I was actually in New Orleans live. That is why we had last week's Saturday Showdown on Friday night. But it was a great atmosphere, an incredible time, especially when the Bucs win like they did. And a lot of players were incredible. I got to meet Payne Durham. I caught up with friend of the program's Tyreek Funderburk. We chatted for about 20 minutes. Kalijah Cansey saw me in his jersey, gave me his gloves. So that was pretty cool stuff in the Saints game. On an opposite note, before we get into today's program, I did want to mention we regret to inform you all we do have a big loss of the Buccateers community. The great Kenneth Rubright, one of our own Facebook listeners, my uncle, he'd be in and out of the chat almost every episode. He'd try and put a comment in, but the great Kenneth left us too soon. A great listener of the Buccateers, J-Lo. He had not one, but two of our mini helmets on display in his house, and he was just always happy to be talking about the podcast and the program. J-Lo, thoughts on losing a great listener? It's always tough, but you know, it stings when it's a personal listener.
No, agreed. You know, my condolences to you and your family, Tones. It's been a rough week for everyone and your family. You know, it's never a fun time when you lose not only, you know, a fan of the program, but a family member. It's always hard. So once again, you know, my prayers go out to all your loved ones that are affected by y'all's loss. And you know, that's all I can really say, man. You know, it's a rough ride, but just gotta stay strong and keep it moving best you can.
Since he was a great listener, he loved doing NFL Pick'em, J-Lo. We're renaming our NFL Pick'em segment from NFL Pick'em to Red Eyes Football Pick'em. That'll be in honor of him. Red Eyes in her nickname, but that'll be what we call our football Pick'em now, is Red Eyes Football Pick'em. As we move on here, J-Lo, it is a Saturday Showdown. One more tribute to Kenneth. Rest in peace. You'll never be forgotten. Thank you for all the great moments and comments during your time watching the Buccateers. They'll never be forgotten. Mr. J-Lo, we got a big college football Saturday slate, but before we get to that, we got to talk about primetime showdown. Bucs Ravens Monday Night Football. Doubleheader for Monday Night Football the night before basketball starts. A lot of moving parts here on Monday night, and the Bucs are going to be right smack dab in the middle of it, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's really exciting, man. 4-2 teams going at it. Really top high flying offenses. Really, this is probably gonna be the best Monday night game yet to come. Coming up. I know fans are more focused on NetSuite's game. Bullshit. No, this is a big game, big deal. If you win a big game like this, you put ourselves on the map.
Yeah, this could really put us on the map, J-Lo, for multiple reasons. A, we have had a couple nice victories this year, including at Detroit, including blowing out the Eagles when we were both shorthanded. Going into the Saints Stadium is never easy, as the Buccaneers seem to always have their hands full there. Obviously, 4 wins to this point, pretty damn impressive. And honestly, the Commanders win keeps looking more impressive by the week, J-Lo, because they look like one hell of a football team too. So the Bucs have had wins against the Commanders, a playoff team right now, wins against the Lions, a playoff team right now, wins against the Eagles, a playoff team right now. This is a team, J-Lo, who if they beat Baltimore, I think a lot more people better put them on the map, because then that would be 4 playoff teams from 2024, projected playoff teams, I should say, with the Lions, Eagles, Ravens, and Commandos. If the Bucs somehow find a way to win this game, J-Lo, I think they're going to be talked about a hell of a lot in the national media. Not that I'm a fan of that, but deservingly so if you take out Lamar Jackson and company.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, the Ravens are one of the Super Bowl favorites at this point. I mean, you beat a team that's a Super Bowl favorite. I mean, that right there just speaks for itself. A lot of the media are counting us out of this game because they think we're more focused on our division opponent next week, but that's not true. Bulls, I feel like, is getting this team prepared to go against this rough stretch of a schedule. But in the meantime, you get an appetizer in Baltimore, who I think is very beatable depending on your game plan and your scheme. It just all depends. Plus injuries are plagued this year, especially with hamstring injuries going on within the league. So, but I think we got a good game coming up. I mean, I don't see us getting blown out. I don't see them getting blown out. I think we got a really good game in our hands, and we should be excited for as Bucks fans, being on primetime television.
We're going to get into the injury report here in a little bit, J-Lo, but we are wearing red this weekend. And I had somebody try to say on Twitter, hey, when we wear red, we don't really play that well. I don't think that's necessarily the case because, well, I'll name a couple of them here shortly, but shout out to our listeners, Olivia Scordato. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, Olive. We love having you in the house. We appreciate you. Ashley Beal, let's go Bucks. We love our lady listeners between Olivia, Ashley. That's great stuff. The Plunder, 23, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks, go Bucks. Fire the damn cannons. Tones Decker off, go Bucks. But J-Lo, when I look at this team, I got asked a question, hey, we're wearing red. Does that make you nervous? We're not that good in red. That's a myth. We just wore red a couple, excuse me, but we wear red from time to time. And it only seems when we wear red in prime time, because that's usually where we wear red is prime time. Because when we're on the road, we're normally in white. When we're at home, we're normally in white. So prime time gets loped in with red. The Bucks obviously never play in prime time. But J-Lo, I don't think it's necessarily the red unis as much as it is prime time. Am I bad, Ashley? I love the name Ashley. There's a couple of those names that are OG that can go either way. The Kellys, the Ashleys, the Sydneys, a couple other of them. But I do like the name Ashley. That's a cool one. And hey, I couldn't tell from your profile pic. You got a guy and a girl, so I was leaning like that. My apologies, fam, for that. But J-Lo, I don't think it's necessarily as much as a red uniform as it is the prime time. For whatever reason, this Bucks football team in prime time outside of Monday Night Football last year has been a little bit underwhelming to this point.
Well, let's not forget when they beat Philadelphia in the playoffs, that was a Monday night primetime football game, and they wore the red computer. So, it is a complete myth. It just depends. I mean, I'm not even worried about the jerseys. I'm more concerned about the players. Yeah, some people can say it's bad luck, but it depends what type of injuries we got going on, the game plan, where the players' heads at. That's more concerning to me, which is why I feel like if this team can overcome a hurricane tragedy and go in New Orleans, take care of business, then really doesn't matter what jersey they're wearing. As long as their minds are in the right, into the game, have a game plan, be ready to go. I'm not worried about the uniforms. I'm not a big fan of the red and white. I was kind of hoping red and pewter, but it's okay. I'll take the red and white. But more importantly, I'll take a W over a good football team.
Yeah, Ashley, the Plunder, Olive, if any of y'all are listening, go ahead and put your thoughts and comments in the chat. Anybody else as well. J-Lo and myself will get to your comments, questions, and so much more as we are live here on the Buccateers, our weekend to football kickoff show, leading you right up to those college football game day kickoffs. And we're going to talk about college, gambling, fantasy, obviously keep diving in to the Buccaneers game and so much more. J-Lo, if you were to circle one guy on this Baltimore Ravens team to look out for, if you were scared for one guy, maybe not scared, but it could be special teams, could be offense, could be defense. They have their playmakers and stars all over. They got one of the better kickers in the league. They got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and a plethora of elite defenders. Who's your guy you're circling, triple circling, and double check marking to look out for, Mr. J-Lo, on this Baltimore Ravens team? Comes 8 o'clock Monday night, Raymond James Stadium. Buck and Aikman on the call.
I must say, it's the obvious. Lamar Jackson. He's probably the one player I have circled because, Derrick Henry, I feel we can contain him. I feel like we can keep him, contained, not getting big gains, unless they're short gains, then I'm probably more concerned. But Lamar is the key piece of their team. If you get pressure, get after him. Because remember, a couple of years ago, we contained him pretty well in the first half because we got in his face. We end up, just putting pressure on him. And when you put pressure on Lamar and you get him out of his zone, the man does not play very well. So that's my main thing with the Bucs is on defense, you got to contain Lamar Jackson because the receivers are not all pros to me. They're average receivers at best, except for Zay Flowers. I think he's got a good future. But
And Ashley agrees with you completely, J-Lo, saying got to contain Lamar no matter what. J-Lo, quick, before I give mine, whether it's been Lamar or somebody else, I feel like the Bucs have just always struggled with Baltimore in general for whatever reason.
Some reason they had our number, man. The last time I remember us beating them was in 2002, our Super Bowl season. But after that, they just had our number. They shut us out in 2006. I remember that game very well. Then we went on the road to Baltimore, got beat in 2010.
You were at one of the games, right?
Oh, God, yes. I was at the one in 2014 when we got blown out in the first half. That was probably the first time in my history going to a Bucs game and leaving at halftime. It was that bad of a game. And they love coming down here. They love coming down here and pound us. I don't know why we give in to this team to where I feel like we're better than that. And I think we're going to surprise a lot of people Monday night and actually show that, we're one of the top dogs in the league. We're not intimidated by Lamar Jackson. Let's not forget, Todd Bowles is a mastermind when it comes to, game planning against quarterbacks like Lamar, Mahomes.
That's his bread and butter.
Exactly, and that's where fans need to realize, yeah, maybe his game management ain't the best, but when it comes to game planning and preparation, they're ready to go. So I'm pretty excited to see what Bowles just got cooked up from Lamar.
I'm going to go with, when I'm looking and I'm diving into this team and I'm looking at this Ravens team, I'm not going to pick Lamar just because you have already mentioned Lamar, so I don't want to double dip and talk about that. But Derrick Henry is good, but I think we could stifle him. I really do think we can. So I'm going to go with more of a passing option. I'm going to go with Isaiah Likely. And I say likely because he's been a little quiet of late. But J-Lo, if you remember last year against the Saints, their backup tight end Johnson late in the season went for over 100 yards against the Buccaneers in our own house. It was a game where the Bucs could potentially clinch the playoffs, and he was their backup tight end putting a knife in our back, right? And Isaiah Likely is a guy who's proven he could have big game and big games, as Christopher Cole says, Mourning everyone. Eric says, go Bucs, I will be there Monday night. Let's go, Eric. Bring us a damn W, brother. But J-Lo, I'm watching Isaiah Likely. Week 1, he had 1,100 yards and a touchdown. Week 5, he had 2 touchdowns against the Bengals. J-Lo, this is a guy who could really harm a defense if you fall asleep on him. And after last year in New Orleans in Week 17, where the Bucs kind of fell asleep on their backup tight end, he went over 100 yards, and the Saints ended up blowing us out that day. Last week, the Saints were using him early and often. Obviously, Rattler fell off then, but J-Lo, Bucks do a good job with tight end ones. It's kind of the tight end two where, to me, they could fall in trouble, and that's why I lean Isaiah Likely.
Well, let's not forget, he lit us up a couple of years ago. If you watch the highlight of the last time we played the Ravens, that's when I kind of knew who Isaiah Likely was and where he came from. So he's somebody to really look out for. I think he's become incredible. Another target from Lamar, and Lamar's really grown well with him. I think definitely that's a big concern. I think that's probably their best weapon as far as offense, receiving wise, besides Derrick Henry, is Isaiah Likely. I feel like we can contain the receivers, but in the middle, which we became very easily thrown on a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta, that's something to keep an eye on in Isaiah Likely. And hopefully Devontae David will be ready for him. And you can't forget about Mark Andrews, the veteran, to go with that, a 2 tight end combo.
Before we get to our Bucs Bets segment where J-Lo and I go through all Buccaneers bets coming on Monday, not Sunday, but Monday, we're going to go ahead and bring you guys the Bucs injury report with Eric commenting on it. Mike Evans is going to play. He is expected to play. We're about to bring you guys the injury report right here, right now. It is a lofty one for this Bucs football team, which we are used to at this point, J-Lo. But let's go ahead and start with Graham Barton being limited with the hamstring. Good news for the Bucs is Chris Braswell practiced in full with the shoulder after being limited on Thursday. Ernest Brown looks like he's going to make his return, J-Lo. Defensive lineman who made the active roster, who started the year on IR. Him and his ribs practiced fully. Jamel Dean did not practice. That's not looking good with his hamstring. Payne Durham with the calf did not practice, looking not good there, but we do get an extra day of rest, so we'll wait and see. Mike Evans' hamstring did not practice. Bucs can't get rid of these damn hamstrings. Will Golston limited with the knee. He's a warrior. He'll play. Here's a key one. Christian Izzy practiced in full. Rakim Jarrett, designated to return from IR, is limited, J-Lo. That could help shore up some wide receiver depth, although we do have nice wide receiver depth. Cam Johnson did not practice with an ankle. Trey Palmer practiced in full with the concussion, so that's good news. Rashad White was limited with the foot. Antoine Winfield practiced fully. What stands out to you from the Bucs grocery list of injuries, J-Lo?
I must say, it's very questioning with Mike Evans. To me, he's a big part of this offense. And with him possibly not playing, it's a big decision Bowles is going to have to make. Do you really want to risk playing a guy with a hamstring injury for one game, or do you want to save him for the season? That's going to be a big question mark. It's going to definitely open up the playbook a little bit more. Rashad White with the limited, obviously he's going to be on a snap count, sharing the ball with two other, two-headed monsters we got on the roster right now. But to me, Mike would be the biggest question mark. I think if you have Mike in the lineup, maybe not expecting to get as many touches, to protect his hamstring. But for the most part, you have him in there, which creates more plays for Chris Godwin. Trey Palmer coming back would be huge because then you can utilize him on the deep ball to give Mike, some rest plays. But to me, like you say about Will Golston, I feel like Mike's a warrior. I could see him making somewhat of a limited practice today, possibly, and maybe, being part of the game, but he won't be a big part of the game plan, if you know what I mean. Because those hammies are so crucial right now. That's what's really hurting a lot of players in the NFL right now today are these hamstrings.
And
So it's
always
going to
the
be,
Bucs, it seems to be, right?
unfortunately, yes. But when you get a guy like Brown back, I'm interested in what he can do to help in the rotation, the D tackles, because having Cansey's huge back, you can tell there's a bit difference when him and Vita Vea are on the field together. And then plus, who else we talking about? I know I mentioned Rashad White, which is fine. If he doesn't play, rest him. But if he does play, there's so many packages you can do with Rashad White in the pass game, blocking game, on third down. I mean, I'm really excited with this three-headed bat system we got going on. I'm excited to see what Liam Cohen does, even Rashad does play. But back to injuries, Mike's is my biggest concern.
Yeah, and we'll see with the Bucks injuries and where those go and who's out, who's not, who's all about. And I'll get into the Ravens injuries here before we get into our Bucks Bets segment coming right up as well. Here is the Saints injuries too. Let me pull or the Ravens, I'm sorry, not the Saints, but they're not quite as lofty as this Bucks injury report was, J-Lo. The following is the Ravens injury report. Rasheen Ali did not practice, but he's, just a special teams guy for them pretty much. Malik Harrison did not practice. Deontay Hardy did not practice. Arthur Mollett was limited. Urban was limited. And Broderick Washington was limited as well. So they're pretty much at full health. And speaking of full health, we're going to get you guys wallets healthy with some Bucs bets. As our guy Ashley says, I honestly think we punch them in the mouth running the ball. I agree, J-Lo. But some Bucs bets, J-Lo, you ready to make our guys some money?
Absolutely, man. Let's get some bets in there and win some people some money, man. Tough times right now. We can use it.
And now I will put a disclaimer out there. Since it's a Monday night game, we might not get all the bets and spreads yet because it's, an extra day further out. But we will see if we could get that in. I'm going to look at the odds right now. Our guy Bucks Nation, how the hell you doing, brother? So glad you could be joining us this morning. Says, my guys, good morning. Then says, are you going to a home game this season, Tampa Tones? I am. J-Lo and I and the rest of the family will actually be at Raiders Bucks in December. So come on, stop by, say hello. I'll let you know when I'm in town, or I'll let you know where we are sitting. But yes, I will be in Tampa in December. My next game on the docket is going to be Kansas City. Christopher Cole says Evans is out there today. Yeah, he is doing some work today. We'll see his official practice statement here in about 50 minutes or so. I think they'll put out their final injury report heading into Monday night. But J-Lo, let's start off here with player passing. Baker Mayfield over under 251.5 passing yards.
Oof, man, tough one. But because the Ravens' defensive passing is very suspect this season, I say over.
We'll just switch off here. Baker Mayfield over under 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'll go over. I think we run the ball well, but I think near the red zone, I think Evans ends up playing. Cade Otton is kind of coming into his own the past month or so. Caught a touchdown last week. Godwin's been a machine. You never know who's going to catch a pass from Baker. By the way, him and Sterling Shepard have had a pretty good report as well. I'll go over 1.5 touchdown passes by Baker Mayfield. J-Lo, over under Lamar Jackson, half an interception. Do you think Lamar throws an interception? $20 would win you $20 if he does.
I say he does. I think we'll put some pressure on him. I think he'll make a mistake and throw a turnover. Absolutely. Over.
Yeah, I think Lamar will. Our defense, Zion McCollum's been playing incredible back there. Winfield and Whitehead are back. Yep, Christian Izien should be returning as well. So I like where your head is at there. Receiving yards time. I'll start us off here with Chris Godwin, 77.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go over here. Again, the Ravens' receiving defense hasn't been great. Chris Godwin has been great. Give me the over for Chris Godwin. J-Lo, Bucks only have 2 listed players, probably with the uncertainty of Mike Evans and whatnot, but you get the other one. Cade Otton, 36.5 receiving yards, over under.
I say over. I think he's starting to come on to get more targets at him, and I definitely put over for sure.
Total receptions by the player, Chris Godwin, 6.5. I'm going to go with over. I think he has around 7 grabs for 100+ yards and a touchdown. Cade Otton, over under 3.5 receptions. J-Lo, do you think he catches 4 balls or more?
like I mentioned before, I think he'll get more touches. So yeah, 4.5. I'll go over on that one, especially with Mike being injured, not getting the ball as much, which would create more opportunities for Arcade Otten.
With Rashad White's uncertainty, the rushing bets are bleak right now for the Bucs. The only one listed is Baker Mayfield over under 14.5 rushing yards. I'll go over for multiple reasons, and one of them is Baker has been running the ball well this year, and 14.5 yards can come at one rip of a run with Baker running for a first down, J-Lo. So give me the over 14.5 rushing yards for Baker Mayfield. Let's see what else we got here, Mr. J-Lo. A lot are uncertain. We're going to go with field goals and kicking now. Total points by the player, J-Lo. Chase McLaughlin, 6.5 points is his over-under. That's 2 field goals and an extra point, or 4 extra points and a field goal. Do you think that holds true in this one?
Absolutely. He'll definitely get 6.5, rather by field goals or extra points. I know we'll be able to move the ball, at least get some field goals in there, and hopefully touchdowns and extra points.
I'll go with total successful field goals by the Bucs over under 1.5. I'm going to take the over. I think he hits 2 field goals at least in this one. And J-Lo, you end us in our Bucs bets today. You round us out. Again, a little bit of a thinner slate with the Bucs getting a mini bye week, getting 1 extra day of rest and not playing until Monday. We got a little more or a little less on the table right now. But J-Lo, 22.5 points for the Buccaneers. Do you think the Bucs score 23 or more in this one? You going over or under?
I say over because they've been surprising me a lot, putting more points on the board. So I say over.
I think it's over as well, and that'll do our Bucs Bet segment for this weekend. Our weekend of football kickoff show, Saturday Showdown, live on this Saturday morning. Bucs Bet segment in the books as we're awaiting Joey Nips. He should be joining momentarily. Any moment now. We will get into Bucs Ravens score predictions. We will get into Bucs Ravens player of the game predictions and more. We're going to talk some Colts football. We're going to talk some other things, college football, NFL, gambling, fantasy, and so much more. But we will start with the Bucs game. Obviously, Bucs Ravens center of attention. Bucs Nation says, for sure, I'm always at home games. I hope to meet you guys. We love meeting up with Buccateers listeners,
Absolutely,
and Bucs fans, and everything in general. So hit up J-Lo and I. I'm sure J-Lo will be at a couple more home games than I am as well. So hit myself up or J-Lo up on Twitter. J-Lo is at JLo Tampa 813, and I am at Tampa Tones. And you could ask us if we're ever going to home games. Ball Glove Blueprint has a fantasy question for us. So before we get into Bucs predictions with Joey Nips and Co., we will get into this fantasy question. Again, ask us your fantasy questions. Ask us your gambling questions. We'll crank out the answers. Ball Glove Blueprint says, full PPR, pick 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, guys. Joey, we'll start with you. Tank Bigsby, Devin Achan for running backs. Got to pick one of those. And then pick 1 wide receiver, Brian Thomas, Jaden Reed, Wan'Dale Robinson. And then pick 1 flex with the leftover.
Oof, tough one. Go ahead, Joey. Take this one.
I Tank Bigsby, and who is the running back? You invite me in here. You ask me a question. I'm all.
Well, it's right in front of your face.
Okay. I'll take. Okay. I'm taking. Good morning, everybody. By the way, but I'm gonna take Tank Bigsby. They're against New England and London. It's a must-win for Jacksonville, so I'll take 1 there.
And ETN's been healthy or not? He's been terrible.
Yeah, and he's banged up too at the same time. I like Brian Thomas Jr., but I'm not going to have you play 2 Jaguars. That could be signing up for a little bit of a death sentence. Tank Bigsby and give me Wan'Dale. He has some good games here and there. They're home against the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles are playing some weird football right now, so I'll take Bigsby and Wan'Dale.
And then 1 flex, he says, too. So out of the leftovers, who you picking, Brian Thomas or Jaden Reed?
I'll go Brian Thomas just because I do think he's very explosive. He had the fastest route time this year, unfortunately, against my Colts in a game I was at. So I'll take I can't believe I'm taking 2 Jags, but here we are with the options at hand.
Mr. J-Lo, who are your 3 you're going to war with fantasy full PPR?
I gotta go with Bitsby. Brian Thomas Jr. That dude's just incredible ball player. I like what he's doing this year as a rookie. Give me him, and then I say give me Jaden Reed. Very under the radar receiver for the Packers. Wanda's doing great things, but I don't know, man. Danny Dimes, I'm just not sold at him at quarterback throwing the football. So I say Jaden Reed for sure. So Jaden Reed, Thomas Jr., Bitsby. That's what I would pick.
I'm going, I hate to be this guy, but I'm starting both Bigsby and Devin Achane. I'm going with Bigsby as running back and Achane as flex. Listen, I think the Colts upend Miami pretty well, but if the Colts have had an Achilles heel, it's been the running game so far, and Devin Achane is surely going to get his fair share of touches in that Miami backfield. They're desperate. They're going to give the ball to their second best player behind Tyreek Hill. I think Tank Bigsby is the one you start in the flex. I think Bigsby in London now. Jacksonville's been in London for over a week now. They're acclimated over there. New England's going to be helter-skelter. New England just looks terrible ever since they got lucky against the Bengals week 1. Give me Tank Bigsby. And again, ETN hasn't been great. And then I'm going with Jaden Reed as my wide receiver, the Naperville product, the kid from around here. Green Bay Packers, Wicks might be hurt for them. We've seen Watson leave games hurt. Romeo Doubs, yeah, he had 2 touchdowns last week. But this Packers team is kind of plug and chug as you go. And in a full-point PPR, I could see Jaden Reed getting a lot of catches. Maybe not a lot of yardage. But in full-point PPR leagues this year, guys, believe it or not, Jaden Reed is the 4th-ranked wide receiver in fantasy football. I just can't, I can't bench a 4th-ranked wide receiver in fantasy. So give me Tank Bigsby, Devin Achane, and Jaden Reed for that. Greetings, boys. Greeting Mr. H. Hope all is well with you. Hope you had a great time last week. Hope you're preparing for Indiana at Nebraska, or Indiana versus Nebraska, which we'll get to shortly. Morning all, Cleve and me. But it's time, guys. Bucs score predictions and player of the game predictions. J-Lo, let's start with you, my friend. Bucs final score and Bucs player of the game will be.
So the final score, it took me a long time to figure this one out because, the Ravens have had our number for a long time. Last time we beat the Ravens back in 2002, I was in fucking middle school. So now the time has come. The Bucs will break that streak. I think they're finally going to get a victory over Baltimore, beating Lamar. I think we'll contain them. I say Bucs win 28, Ravens 25.
Bucs 28, Ravens 25.
And J-Lo, did you have this as a win or a loss before the season? And if it's the same or not, what changed for you? Because I thought maybe you had Baltimore before the season. I could be wrong. Maybe that was Tones.
No. I did have him as a loss just because my questions go to, how Lamar beat us last time, and how this pass rush was really going to get after Lamar. And I feel like we have been improving over the last few weeks, getting pressure, blitz packages, getting after the quarterback. I feel like Lamar is very beatable. Remember, they started off 0-2. They're on a hot win streak right now. But if you watch the first 2 games, how did those 2 teams beat the Ravens? They contain Lamar. If you contain Lamar, you keep him from running outside the pocket, creating plays, they're very beatable. And we were at the game last year when Derrick Henry was on the Titans, and we shut him down. He cannot do nada. Yeah, the offensive line's a lot different, but we got a much better D-line than we did the last time we played the Ravens. We got Elijah Canton and Vita Vea in the middle, healthy. When you contain that, you take those 2 middle guys out, there's not going to be a lot of running room for Derrick Henry. He's off to a hot start, MVP season. That's why I changed my mind on the win-loss column, because I feel like this team is together now as a unit to know that they're playing for something bigger than themselves, and that's to win a championship. And I feel like the only way to do it is you got to contain a guy like Lamar.
And J-Lo, who's your player of the game again? As we got to get going here. We got a lot to get to. Yeah, Joey threw you a curveball. I love it, though. I love the deep dive. But J-Lo, who is your Bucs player of the game?
To me, it's going to be Elijah Canty, who I've just been speaking highly about.
Elijah!
This man, his first game back, he took Alvin Kamara to Suplex City last week, and I'm looking forward to watching this kid, shutting down, taking on the double teams, getting through, getting pressure on Lamar. May not catch a sack, but he's definitely going to contain Derrick Henry on the run game. So give me Kalijah Kancey as MVP of the game.
I love that one. The great Casey McCullough says, "Gentlemen," as he enters the chat. What's up, Casey? Hope you're pep talking your beers in the shower this morning. We will get to our other fantasy question. We have another after these predictions. Joey, where do you lead with the score? Pops text in Bucs 34-31, high scoring, close game. And also, Joey, who's your player of the game?
Yeah, man, this is truly a toss-up. I mean, he alluded
Mr. H checks in Bucs 28-24, contain Jackson is the key. I think that's his first Bucs score prediction. We'll take it.
Well, I'm looking for a couple players to get off the schneid, so I'm going to go a little lower scoring than most of the people have went so far, and that's just because I do think the Bucs will be on their P's and Q's this week. Todd Bowles will have them ready to play. Even though they won last week, there was a lot of points let up in the second quarter, and I think they're just going to avoid that in all totality. So I'll go Bucs 24, Ravens 23, and what will be an absolute barn burner. So that's only a 1 point difference there. And I'm looking for somebody to step up. So my player of the game, might be a little more surprising. I'm not going to go on the offensive side of the ball. I think somebody's really going to have to step up on defense. And I'm going to just say pass rushers, and I'll give it to Yaya Diaby, and I'll split it with JTS. They only each have 1 sack on the season so far. I'm expecting a little bit more in this game out of both guys to be on top of their game. And I think both Diaby and JTS will lead this team to a few sacks, and that's how they will take down Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
One thing Diaby's been good at this year is generating pressures. He hasn't quite landed the home run blows with the sacks, as Joey alluded to, but he's at least been pressuring the quarterback. I would like to see JTS, after a nice start to the year, get back after the quarterback. So a couple of good picks there. I'm going to go with Bucs 27, Ravens 17. I think this is one of those games the Ravens actually they get stalled out a little bit. They're riding high right now. All the media is loving the Ravens. And then I hate that that'll happen to the Bucs, sadly, if this does happen. But, the Ravens just had an emotional win against the Commanders. That scumbag fan got arrested for assault, by the way. So adios to him. But the Ravens are riding high. They just beat the Commanders. They just beat the Bengals. They just beat the Bills. They beat the Cowboys on the road. After an 0-2 start, they had a nice little 4-game stretch. I think they get slapped with a bit of a dose of reality this year. And my player of the game I'm going with is Logan Hall. He's been having a really nice year for this Buccaneers team, this Bucs front seven. He's having his best year as a pro yet. A lot of hate got generated towards Logan Hall coming into training camp and preseason. And I'm also going to have my eye on friend of the show's Tyreek Funderburk, who's expected to play a really big role in this game. He played 60 out of 70 snaps last week when Jamel Dean went down. He fared well as the game went on. So I'm going with Logan Hall and Tyreek Funderburk to hold their own. It was really fun catching up with Funderburk as well last week. He chatted with me for about 15, 20 minutes or so, talking all things Bucs ball. Was really incredible. J-Lo, in 10 seconds or less, full point PPR, Cade Otton or Dalton Schultz. Who's your choice?
Oh, man. Dalton Schultz has been a huge letdown for me in one of my fantasy leagues. So give me Cade Otton.
Joey Otton Schultz, full point PPR. You're on mute.
I'll go Schultz as I'm out. I was about to make a comment on Logan Hall, too. He can maybe hit double-digit sacks this year, so kudos to him, the second-round pick. I'll go Dalton, though.
Yeah, and Logan Hall's unique because he was the first pick of the second round. We actually traded back. We traded out of the first round and got that first pick in the second round, and we took Logan Hall. And he was a raw pass rusher. We knew what he was getting himself into, but he's already equaled his sack number. He's had 3 sacks. He had 3 combined in his first 2 years in the NFL, so pretty cool to see him take that step up. I'll go with Cade Otton just because I think he's coming into his own more. The Texans, I think, struggle this week a little bit at the Packers. I think Cade Otton has, 6 nabs for 40, 50 yards and a touchdown potentially. So give me Cade. And speaking of Otten, hopefully you find yourself onto the Saturday Showdown Weekend Football Kickoff Show, touching down here as we're about to get into our brief Colts Dolphins talk and pick our winners and kind of go around there. J-Lo, we'll start with you here, and then we'll get our deep dive on the game with Joey. But J-Lo, Colts Dolphins, Anthony Richardson is returning for the Colts. This game's 1 o'clock Eastern time. Colts are the home team. Who you going with here, J-Lo? Dolphins at Colts, 1 o'clock Eastern. Snoop Huntley against Anthony Richardson.
With AR-15 being back, AR-5, can you change his number? But I think with him being back, I think he's gonna help pull out a really good win. Miami's just not a very good football team like everyone
They've
thought
been
they were going to
cheap.
be. For the most part. So I like the Colts at home. They're very, very tough place to play in over there. Final score, give me Colts. Are we doing final score? Or they're just prediction tones.
Final score.
Okay. Final score, give me Colts 28. I think Anthony Richardson's going to have a good day, tossing the ball around. And then Dolphins, give me 14. They just can't put up points without Tua at quarterback. That's just my opinion on Miami. So give me Colts with a big win at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Colts getting a nice-sized win at home, too. Listen, I think the Dolphins keep it close for 2.5, 3 quarters, really get good use out of Devin Achane, have a nice little running day at first, but then I think Snoop Huntley has to throw the football, and when he has to, it's usually not that good. By the way, shout out to our Facebook crowd, the great David Castle's joining us, Al Monito's joining us, a lot of OGs on Facebook joining the conversation. We do appreciate it. Jonathan Taylor's out. No problem for them at this point because sadly they're kind of used to the guy being out over the past couple of seasons, and they've adapted well. Last year it was Zach Moss who's stepping up. I think Goodson actually steps up big time this week. I think he kind of splits touches with Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon's a little banged up coming into this game, although he's deemed good to go. I think Goodson and Sermon end up sharing backfield duties. I'm going to go with the Colts with a nice size win too. 24-13 Colts, I'll go. And my player of the game will be Goodson on the offense, being that secondary running back out of the backfield. Joey, kind of take the floor and give us your little bit of a Colts Dolphins preview with your score prediction as well.
Yeah, I like it. Going with the Iowa product there, Mr. Goodson. Tones guy Moose Johnson is on the call this weekend.
Oh, my God.
With
that guy is terrible.
Kugler, I think, is the main announcer.
Yeah, and he's not bad, but Moose. Oh,
yeah, your boy Moose. So that will be on Fox tomorrow. I'll be at the game with the Big Pops man. We'll be by Pat McAfee's suite, about 10 rows behind. Really looking forward to it. And there was reports this morning that Tua could be back as soon as next week. So sticking to the game at hand, though, Tones and J-Lo alluded to a lot of good points. Injury situation with Indy is always interesting right now. As they said, Taylor out, Richardson in. Defensively, Buckner's close but not back yet. And then at the same time, there's a couple other things going on with the receivers, a lot of banged up. But Michael Pittman, man, shout out to him and his father. He talked to Pittman Sr. last week, ex-Buccaneer, and he said that's part of the reason he played. You had people like Adam Schneebly Schefter reporting that he go on the IR, and this guy just gets back at it.
Fucking Schefter.
I do think it will be a little closer than these two gentlemen are saying, and that's just coming from a Colts fan because Dolphins well, hey, I'm not saying you're wrong. Dolphins are coming off a bye week, though. If Mike McDaniel, this guy that's such a great mind, is something I personally am not big on, but if he's such a great offensive mind, he's going to get a lot of creativity with Mostert and Achane in the backfield. He's going to have Hill and Waddle catching those quick slants, moving side to side. You probably see a decent amount of screens, but on this fast defense, it's not going to work. Also, Dallas Clark, Ring of Honor Day tomorrow. This place is going to be packed. Bleed blue. They're coming to our house. Final score, Colts 27, Dolphins 19 will be my final score. And if I have to give a player of the game, I'm just going to go with Mr. Consistent Josh Downs. That's Anthony Richardson's favorite weapon. He's not a guy that will, unlike Alec Pierce, he gets those like 1 or 2 catches and they're like 30, 40 yards per pop. Josh Downs gets first downs. He always is doing that. He's always making those little plays to get there. I'm looking for him to have anywhere from 7 to 10 catches with 1 touchdown tomorrow. Colts 27, Dolphins 19, and Josh Downs player of the game.
Yeah, and we will get to college football here momentarily after we wrap up Colts talk and our other fantasy question. Joey, quickly, need one QB, Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love? Wow, you wish you were in a 2 QB league, don't you? That would have been a good one. But Joey, who you going with there, Hurts or Love?
I was a little bit concerned, even though the Eagles beat the Browns, I was a little concerned watching that offense last week. And I know they have injuries, and Tones, you might have more updates on who's in and who's out. And I think they had both receivers out for a little bit. Maybe they're both back now. But either way, Jordan Love is progressing in a better style to me right now, week to week, when he came back from that injury, than is Jalen Hurts. I think on his home field in Lambeau, give me Jordan Love to start. In a close one, you can't really go wrong, but I'll take Mr. Love.
Yeah, J-Lo, who you going with, Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts? And, yeah, Joey alluded to some injuries for the Eagles front. Devontae Smith is healthy and returning for them. And A.J. Brown should be also trotted out there, I believe, as well. He got deemed healthy. So the Eagles should have both Brown and Smith, as they did last week. They're both playing again this week, so they'll be good to go. Packers gets a little more murky with Dontavius Wicks. He's still questionable. But, J-Lo, who would you have of those two?
Who's Philly playing, Tones?
At Giants.
At
Correct.
Giants. This Philly team is very broken, man. I feel like Jalen Hurts is just not the same quarterback he once was in 2022 season form. So if I had to go with the pick, I say I'd go with Love at home. Love, I feel like, is the better quarterback at the moment, just because Hurts, I feel like, it still just can't get back to where he once was. And the fan base is so delusional with Nick Sirianni and coach. But that's a whole nother conversation. So just give me Love over Hurts at this moment.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this is tough. I'll go with Love. I think Texans defense has been pretty vulnerable this year as well. As we are live here on the Buccateers, our Saturday Showdown Weekend of Football Kickoff Show, talking all things football. We've been talking Bucs, Colts, fantasy. We're going to talk breadwinners in a minute, which we've been on fire, by the way, fellas. 6-2 in our last 8. Soaring our record up to 14-12 on the season at a plus $69 win total, because Gene had Godwin touchdown last week, which paid off. That was times 1.6 right there. So good stuff there. I will say, guys,
Show me the money.
Gene is 3-0. So when Gene shows up, he does pick winners. I'll put it like that. He's 3-0 on the season. But we'll get into those here momentarily. But if you are watching live on YouTube, please hit the like button, subscribe button, and turn the notification bell on as we pick our college football pick'em. This is when we do include spreads in the world of college football. Our NFL pick'em, we do not do spreads, but college we do. And we are naming our NFL pick'em something different. But we're here with college football pick'em right now as we go around and each get a different game of the day for college football and take it into our own hands and predictions. We're going to start with the noon Eastern kickoff and J-Lo, Auburn at Missouri -4. This one is noon Eastern. Where are you heading, J-Lo?
Missouri has shockingly been very surprising to me on their recent loss, getting blown out, I believe. But Missouri, I think, will rebound at home against Auburn. I'll take Missouri, even with the spread.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze is kind of a sad sack of shit over there.
Oh God, yes.
My
God. Complete
Yeah,
nightmare.
I mean, he's a scumbag. If you look up Hugh Freeze, he was just a terrible human being. So I'll just leave it at that. But
Shout out
yeah.
you.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. And
Oh,
to me,
okay.
Auburn should have went with Cadillac Williams. Well, now that we mentioned Hugh Freeze, let me peel back the onion real quick on Uncle Hugh and why he was not the best of people. If you look back at Mr. Hugh Freeze, he had some. No, we're not going to dig into his resume, but let's just say he got bounced around for a reason. Look it up, and you'll find some scandals and resignation as he was charged with multiple recruiting violations, impermissible benefits he was giving players, such as car loans and cash. And then Laramie Tunsil admitted he took money from one of Hugh Freeze's assistants. Houston Nutt sued Ole Miss and Hugh Freeze as well. It's just really ugly. And Hugh Freeze made a call on a cell phone with a female escort service, cheating on his wife and stuff. It's all bad for Uncle Hugh Freeze. But anyways, that's the Hugh Freeze legacy and media there. So if you're an Auburn fan listening, you hired a real winner. Should have went with Cadillac Williams. Joey, UCLA. Joey, UCLA plus 4.5 at Rutgers, noon Eastern time. Where you heading?
Yeah, man, I'm never rooting for that scumbag again. Holy.
Yeah, I mean, just a laundry list of bad things. But, people will, 2024. So let him get a third chance. Let him get a fourth chance. Let him into your home. Feed him breakfast. Give him his own room. That's the approach we should take with the guy.
Give me the game again that I got.
UCLA at Rutgers. UCLA plus 4.5.
I'm gonna go. Rutgers didn't look as good as I thought, even though they have a good record. I like UCLA in the points. I know they got to travel a far distance to do so. People, I'm sure, will be very afraid of that. But give me UCLA getting the 4.5.
Arizona State at Cincinnati. Cincy's minus 5.5. Give me Cincy to win, but Arizona State to cover. I think Cincinnati wins. Arizona State covers the 5.5. J-Lo, noon Eastern. Miami at Louisville. Louisville is plus 5 at home in that rivalry. Where are you going?
Oof, man, that's a tough one. But I think this is the time where I think Miami gets their first loss. Give me Louisville with the upset at home at over the plus 5 on the spread, because Miami's very gullible. They've been showing it lately, and I think Louisville's going to be the team to finally give them the punchline and give them their first loss.
Joey, last one on the noon slate. Paulie's Army takes on East Carolina. Army is undefeated, minus 18.5 at home.
Oh man, you really? Oh man. You know what? Eastern Carolina, the 3-3. They probably got some great bar choices in their great state under Mr. Garcia at quarterback, but not so fast, my friends. When Paulie shows up with the hard hat and the lunch pail, they do not get denied. Give me Army. Give me it all, because they are the true representatives of this country.
Yeah, I love that pick, man. Paulie we trust, man. That's all I'll say. And Paulie we do trust. I like that pick a lot right there. That leaves me with Nebraska at Indiana. Indiana minus 6.5. For as good as they've been, that spread seems a little too rich for my blood. I would take the 6.5 and Nebraska. I think Indiana.
What fan base has more teeth?
Oh wow, that's that's one that could be answered many ways there. But give me Indiana winning the game, but Nebraska covering the 6.5. That is a little bit big, in my opinion. J-Lo, 12:45 Eastern. South Carolina at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is plus 1 at home.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Oklahoma has not been playing their best ball. South Carolina came in a close one against Alabama. So give me South Carolina on the road. That should get a big victory over Oklahoma.
Mr. H, or Nebraska native Puckhead, says Nebraska with points as New England tight end scores big touchdown. Hey, we got more corn, need more teeth. Hey, you can substitute corn for teeth. Just put one of those corn pegs in as a tooth. So we'll see how that goes. Joey, you're up next here. We're going to give you the big battle here of Alabama -3 at Tennessee, 3:30 Eastern kickoff. This is a behemoth. Where you headed?
Yeah, and don't worry, Mr. H. We'll trade, Coach Signetti. He likes his Marlboro cigarettes. So we'll trade you some cigarettes for some corn, and we'll all be happy at the end of the day. But this is a very intriguing matchup to me, Tones and J-Lo. You have Alabama, who we've seen really look bad at times, but then also beat Georgia. We've seen Tennessee play close games with teams like Florida, but then at the same time, they just show up and ball out. But at the end of the day, man, if you 3-point spread, I like the home team. I think it's going to be rocking in the great state tonight, and they're just going to do good things. Jordan Milroe looks, like I said, sometimes he looks really good, but I think Sampson at running back for Tennessee is going to put up big yards. He already has 15 touchdowns on the season, boys. Yes, that is not a fallacy. 15 touchdowns. Go Volunteers.
That's going to be a hell of a game, and really we got a lot of good treats and games this weekend in college football that I'm really excited for. That's just one of many right there. So really looking forward to that one. That one's going to be incredible. The early games are really good, really fun, a big amount of fun here. So looking forward to that one at 3:30. J-Lo, we're going to give you the next slice at the cake here as we continue with 3:30 Eastern time. NC State heads to Cal. NC State +10 on the road all the way to California. Where you going?
I like NC State on the road. I feel like California, they're broken. After they were undefeated in Florida State, pretty much that's their only victory of the year. I just feel like Cal's showing their true colors. Give me NC State on the road in California.
We're all going to do this one. Notre Dame -13.5 at Georgia Tech. This one's actually being played at the Falcons Stadium in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. I think Notre Dame wins, but I think Georgia Tech covers with the 13.5. Joey, what say you?
Georgia Tech without their quarterback, I think, today. I think they have an injury because the spread just seems too high to me. I kind of agree. I definitely think Notre Dame's going to win. But I think Georgia Tech, and like you said, in the Mercedes Dome or whatever they're calling it these days, either they'll backdoor cover or they'll be around that point. So I'll say Notre Dame wins by about 10 to 12 points.
J-Lo, where are you heading with in this one? Notre Dame, Georgia Tech at a neutral site, Mercedes-Benz Superdome in Atlanta.
It could be a trap game for Notre Dame, but I feel Notre Dame will win. I think they'll cover the spread. I just feel that Notre Dame will just go in there and take care of business with Georgia Tech as they should.
I'll take this next game at Navy -17 against Charlotte and Biff Powell. I'm going with Navy for the Navy. Let's go 3:30 Eastern for Red Eyes, the great Kenneth Rubright. We're rolling with Navy. Joey, 4 o'clock Eastern, Baylor at Texas Tech. Baylor +5.5 on the road. Where you heading?
I'm not going with Baylor anymore. They've screwed me too many times. Texas Tech is 5-1. They have good QB play out of Morton right now at 14 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Give me the Red Raiders.
J-Lo, USC -7.5 at Maryland, 4 Eastern. Where you headed?
I like the effort out of USC against Penn State last week. Give me USC on the road in Maryland and get a bit victory, a recovery victory. Because wow, what a game last week to perform against your Penn State Nittany Lions, my God.
That was fun. 4 o'clock Eastern, Prime in Colorado at Arizona, getting 2.5. Give me Prime and Co. They've been playing some really, really good football this year. Joey, 7 o'clock Eastern, another fun one here. Brian Kelly and LSU travel to Arkansas. Arkansas 2.5-point home underdogs, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. Brian Kelly is just a piece of shit. So give me Arkansas forward 2 with the points. I'll never root for LSU. That's a heart bet, so the fans can say, but let the haters hate. Go Razorbacks, and I'll take them with the points.
J-Lo, Central Florida, UCF, 13.5-point dogs at Iowa State, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Who do you got there?
Oh, is it my turn?
No, it's the other J-Lo.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear him. Thank you, sir. Give me Iowa State, man. I really like where they're going, man. I think they win. They cover the spread for sure. Like I said, they're a very underrated football team.
Yeah, we're all going to do this next one, 7:30 Eastern, Georgia, +5 on the road at Texas. Give me Georgia getting the 5 points. I don't know who ends up winning, but anytime Georgia's getting 5, I'm all in for that 7:30 Eastern. Joey, who you going with, Georgia in the 5 or Texas?
Man, we just skipped over Michigan, Illinois like that. 2 Big Ten heaters.
Keep going.
Give me the Bulldogs and the 5 points. I agree with Tones.
J-Lo?
Tough one. It's going to be a very competitive game, but I'm with y'all guys. Give me Georgia with the 5. I think they're just a very competitive football team, and I think they'll pull out a sneaky win over Texas.
Sorry, I can't even gamble on Michigan U of I, so there's really no need for me to talk about it. So that's why we skip right over it like the running water. And by the way, that game is going to be a boring-ass snooze fest regardless, so not worth my breath. Kentucky at Florida, 7:45 p.m. Eastern. J-Lo, Florida +2. Where are you headed, sir?
Oh, with this team, it's a hit or miss. I'm so proud of the effort they put in last week, even though they didn't pull out the win. But I like the better effort out of the defense, and it's DJ Lagway's time in the swamp, and Florida finally breaks this 3-game losing streak, the last 3 seasons in Kentucky. Give me Florida at home with a big win. DJ Lagway's
Joey, where you heading, Florida or Kentucky?
Yeah, we got Adolf in here. Give me Florida. Because he'll probably cut me off soon too. So give me Florida.
Yeah, we're pushing the clock. I'll take Florida +2 at home as well. Joey, since you cried about it, 3:30 Eastern, Michigan -2.5 at U of I.
I do have the hard hat blue on today, but I think U of I comes out with a victory. As I got some buddies at the game who graduated from there. Really, really good people, right, Tones? Give me U of I.
J-Lo, SMU at Stanford, 8 o'clock Eastern, SMU -16.
SMU on the spread. Stanford's not a good team. SMU, good team, period.
UNLV, Oregon State, that's 10 o'clock Eastern. Oregon State at home getting the 6.5. Give me the Beavers at home getting the 6.5. Joey, take us home. TCU +3 on the road at a tough Utah environment. 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is a fun nightcap.
It is a fun nightcap, and on ESPN, Hoover has looked good for TCU with 16 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I just think that Utah fan base and everything rallying behind them will be a little bit too much. Mr. Bernard will run the ball well. Give me Utah -3.5.
That is our college football pick'em. Always a treat there. And now we're going to get into our new segment called Red Eyes Football Picks, where we go into the world of the NFL and honor the great Red Eyes, who was a huge football guy, and he loved doing his weekly picks. So we're going to call it Red Eyes Football Picks, where we go into the world of the NFL, and these are without spreads. Our guy Neil says, what it do? Yes, sir. Neil, as you always say, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and give us a like if you can. J-Lo, we'll start with you here. Early one tomorrow. Get your breakfast and coffee ready as we are in London yet again. It is that time of the NFL season where the London games run rampant. New England at Jacksonville in London, though, J-Lo, 9:30. Where are you going?
Give me Jacksonville. Patriots are just a bad football team. They'll be the first pick overall in this year's draft. Give me Jaguars.
Joey, Texans at Packers, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Who do you have there?
Yeah, Texans been sneaking by with some close victories as of late over teams like Jacksonville, amongst others. Buffalo being another. I will take Green Bay in a close game at home.
Lions at Vikings. Give me Minnesota. I think Dan Campbell's in tears after this one. I think he's crying. I think he's looking to trade for a Hutchinson replacement after they can't generate pressure on Sam Darnold. Give me the Minnesota Vikings. J-Lo, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, enough of your hand. Half of your picks are cheeks as well. Eagles, Giants, J-Lo, 1 o'clock Eastern. Where you headed there?
Give me Eagles on the road. They've been looking very shady, but Giants are just a bad football team as well. Eagles on the road.
As we continue our Red Eye football selections in the honor of the great Red Eyes, Kenneth Rubright, one of our great listeners. Joey, Titans at Bills, 1 o'clock Eastern. How do you see that one playing out?
Well, the Will Levis show could be over in Tennessee very soon. They came off a bye week last week, and he didn't quite light it up. I will take Buffalo, and I think they're giving a lot of points. I know we don't do spreads, but I think Buffalo big.
Bengals at Browns. Give me the Bengals. That's 1 o'clock Eastern. Joe Burrow's been playing incredible football. It looks like their defense is slowly getting better. Deshaun Watson's been awful. Give me the Bengals there. J-Lo, the last 1 o'clock game on the slate. Obviously, we all pick Colts Fins, so we're not going to dive into that. But Seahawks at Atlanta, Mr. J-Lo.
Seahawks have been on a huge losing streak, and I think that losing streak ends and they go into Atlanta and beat them in their house. Give me Seattle over Atlanta.
I like that too. I think Seattle's ready to roll. I'll take the first 4:05 game. Remember, the NFL put in a blessing this year. Every 4 o'clock time slot at least has to have 3 football games, which is awesome. Whenever it was 2 in years past, it would get rough sometimes. Also, shout out to people joining us on Facebook. Ed Rabasa, our guy. Thank you for tuning in to the program. But Raiders at Rams. Give me the Rams at home off of a bye week. I think Sean McVay needs a must win. I think Raiders continue to spiral out, and Brady will hire Belichick at year's end as head coach. J-Lo, Panthers at Commandos, 4:05 Eastern time there.
Well, better late than never on this one. I think Panthers will upset the Commanders at home. I feel like the Commanders are going to take that loss they took from Baltimore last week and not get that bad taste out of their mouth. So I recommend that podcast if you're listening. But Panthers, I feel like, are going to go on the road and get their second victory of the season.
Joey, 4:25 tomorrow. Chiefs at 49ers. That's a great battle. As Kidder says he's going with the Volunteers and the Titans tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think the this rematch happens in the playoffs again ever in the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs always get the better hand in that time. 49ers need a win here. They're at 500. They're on their home field. It will be regular season vengeance, but it will be vengeance. Give me the 49ers in a barn burner.
Jets at Steelers, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 Eastern. Jets just made the big trade for Devontae Adams, now putting guys like Mike Williams and Hassan Reddick, who hasn't showed up yet, still on the trading block. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here. They're getting points at home, although we're not doing points. But the Jets just haven't proven to me they could win a meaningful football game yet. Until they do, they have an interim coach. Again, a lot of weird animosity going on in that locker room. Give me the Steelers. J-Lo, take us home with the second Monday night doubleheader, 9 o'clock Eastern to end the week. The Chargers make a short journey to Arizona as the Bolts take on the Birds, 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN, as the Bucs are on ABC for the double night Monday night football header.
Oh, yeah, thank God, because this game's not going to be very entertaining, but could be. But give me the Cardinals at home against the Chargers. Kyler Murray is a hit and miss, and I think he'll show up on prime time on ESPN Plus and get a big victory at home against the Chargers.
That's our Red Eyes football pick'em. Very well done, gentlemen. Now we're going to get into our fantasy mash report, where I ask you guys each a fantasy question, and you say who you prefer to play. Joey, full point PPR. You're the Colts guy. You could only choose one of the running backs in full point PPR. Are you going with Goodson or are you going with Sermon?
I'm going with Mr. Goodson in full point PPR because when it comes to catching the ball or making the yak yards after catch, Goodson has a little bit more of that. Give me Mr. Goodson.
J-Lo, out of the following quarterbacks who are still quote unquote new to the scene in this football season, who are you going with this week if you could only choose between one, Russell Wilson Russell Wilson home against the Jets or Andy Dalton at the Commandos?
I say give me veteran Andy Dalton. By now he's on game 3 or 4. I think, like I mentioned, I think he's going to go in there and shot the Commanders at home. Give me Andy Dalton. As crazy as that sounds, because Russell Wilson's been out too long. First game they never looked so good. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, and before we get to breadwinners, I'll close down this segment with a battle of flex kickers we'll look at. Let's just say out of Cameron Dicker, Cam Little, and Matt Gay, out of those three, give me Cameron Dicker, just because I think he could get some points in Arizona.
What do you
on
say to
Monday.
those no kicker leagues, Tones, that think kickers aren't valid?
That means you probably shouldn't even have a fantasy football league at that point. You might as well just hang up and wait for baseball season. So that's how I feel about those leagues. Breadwinners, guys, before we get to our final word, once again, to update people on breadwinners, we had a soaring comeback, guys. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were not looking the best. I think we were 8-10 heading into breadwinners a couple weeks ago, hovering around even for the year. We've expanded that to 14-12 at a plus $69 margin. So if you've been listening to every single one of our bets, you would be positive plus $69 this far on the year. Shout out to cousin Mark, by the way. He hit me up. Hey, when can I get your breadwinners? I said, Saturday mornings, tune in, my man. He said he's just dabbling into the world of sports gambling. So shout out Cuzzo Mark on that. J-Lo, with all that noise and ruckus in the background, who are you going with as your breadwinner, sir? You got to get off the snide. I believe you won the big one on week 1, and you kind of went cold stone since.
Well, I think I'm going to go with the player individual receiving yards, and I believe – how much was Godwin's on the receiving yard? Chris Godwin? Was it, 60-something yards receiving?
76.5.
Yeah, give me 76.5 yards receiving for Chris Godwin. I think with Mike possibly not playing, or if he does play, he'll be on a pitch count. I like Godwin in the slot making plays. I don't think the Ravens are going to have any answers for him in the slot. So give me Chris Godwin.
And we'll just go Godwin over yards, because if Evans gets announced as he's playing, that'll be adjusted a little bit and whatnot. Yeah. So J-Lo goes with Godwin over yards. Joey, if you could type that into the chat for his breadwinner. J-Lo has Godwin over yards, and Godwin's taught us well. He really won us some good coin last week. Give me Rutgers as my breadwinner. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and try and do this puppy right away. UCLA has been terrible this year. That's the farthest travel in the Big Ten is UCLA to Rutgers. I'm taking Rutgers money line. If you put $20 on it, you win $12. So not the best of returns, but positive money is money. Rutgers money line. 20 to win 12. And so far, J-Lo's Godwin yards, me Rutgers money line. Joey, where are you heading with your breadwinner?
Yeah, I was between two games, a college and an NFL, but since I'm going tomorrow, since a lot of things, been going on this week, I'm going to take the Colts minus the 3 points at home. Usually you get 3 just for being at home. I think we're also the better football team. Give me the Indianapolis Colts and a homer pick, but a pick no else. Breadwinner of the week, Indianapolis.
What's the spread there? Are you going with money line?
I'm going to give 3 points the spread.
Cool. So once again, breadwinners, J-Lo, Godwin over and yard. I kind of like him too. We all picked a different day. Right now you got Rutgers kicking off as my breadwinner. Tomorrow you got Joey with the Colts minus 3. And now I got J-Lo over Godwin receiving yards. And that's our breadwinners. Once again, we're up $69 on the season. If you've listened to us all year, you have been a happy camper with plus $69 in your pocket. It's already that time, guys, on our Saturday Showdown. This one flew by. They all fly by, but this one I feel like really flew by, is Joey and I also have a wedding to attend later tonight, so it's going to be a really busy day on our end. J-Lo, final word for you on today's program, brother.
It was great. Another successful Saturday, fellas. Always great chopping up with y'all, talking just not only Buck ball, Colts ball, but also college ball. And like I said, y'all have fun at the wedding. Don't get too wasted. It's probably like the 8th wedding, Tone, you're going to. Should I start calling you Mr. Wedding Crasher? Or
they keep coming, man. They keep coming.
Yeah, he's only been invited to half of them.
Oh my goodness. Y'all two tag teaming. I love it, man. You can never go wrong with the Brothers of Destruction going through some wedding crashing moments.
Speaking of the Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker and Kane are having Donald J. Trump on their podcast, or I believe they already did the 6 Feet Under podcast, so that'll be a lot of fun over there for wrestling fans alike. Joey, final word for the program on today's Saturday Showdown, brother.
Yeah, and then if you want to hear some bad talk, just hear Dave Bautista on his Twitter. But anyway, sticking to the case at hand, we will go with, look, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to hit up Dinos. I'm going to hit up a great grocery store. I'm going to get ready for these 3:30 Eastern games, between Tennessee, Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Michigan, Illinois. It goes on and on. I can't wait.
For Michigan, Illinois being so good, you sure listed it down low there on your list, huh?
Well, there's so many good 3:30 games, I have to keep it consistent.
That's why I glazed right over that puppy. But
wow.
Yeah, always great, Joey. Hey, have fun at the Colts game tomorrow and go blue. My final word is this, guys, enjoy the fucking season. We're at the end of October, almost the end of October. We're already 2 months into the year for college football, 2.5 months. We don't have a lot of football left on our hands, guys.
Wow,
so
that is sad.
Just enjoy it, man. We're already in week 7 in the NFL. We're already in week 8 or 9, depending on if you count week 0 in college football. So time is flying, and football season is as well. Once again, rest in peace to the great Kenneth Rubright. Red Eyes will forever name our football segment in honor of you, my friend, a Navy veteran and a great guy in and out of the football field. Anyway, fire the damn cannons, go Bucs, touchdown Tampa Bay. Until next time on the Buccateers, we're going to be with you for a 30-minute special Monday on our kickoff to Bucs Ravens. We'll be live for 30 minutes. All right, we're getting feed and all.
Oh my God.
We're out of here.
I'm getting sockless on Monday.
What is going on? Fire the damn cannon. Cover them feet.
Joey,
holy shit.
Bam Bam. We got Bam Bam in the house.
J-Lo's hands. Show us your hands, J-Lo. Anyways, guys, we're out of here. Bam Bam Bigelow getting loose down there. Damn. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.